What is up, and welcome to another episode of The Big Lead. My name is Doug McCain. Friends call me D-Mac. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, Bleacher Report, Dodgers Nation, also do NFL radio for Westwood One. And of course, I'm joined by Mr. John Robinson IV, former D1 college football player with UConn, Tennessee State. He's worked in sports media for a while now, too. And we're going to dive right into it. I mean, we're talking about for the show, it's kind of like our version of Nightcap, right? Forget the Ocho Cinco and Shannon and Sharp. Of course, we love those guys, but we could not wait till tomorrow to talk about these games. And we just witnessed, John, another classic between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. And I'm gutted. I'm sick for this Buffalo Bills team. And I'm starting to think that Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, all these guys are exactly what Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, Karl Malone, all those NBA players were like in the 90s trying to beat Michael Jordan. Because we're going to dive into this one on a deep level soon, but because kind of the first take, and look, Josh Allen didn't play a bad game. He really didn't. I mean, I thought just giving Dalton Kincaid a chance to catch that one. I see people saying it was a drop. I wouldn't call it a drop. It was a tough play to make, but you got to make special plays to beat a special team like the Chiefs. They had an opportunity to make one. They didn't do that. But I will say the difference in the fourth quarter, somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes, he hits Juju Smith-Schuster over the middle. Somehow, some way, he pulls on a keeper, gets in the end zone. Mahomes just makes play after play. We need it the most. And look, he's still the biggest reason why the Kansas City Chiefs are heading back to the Super Bowl with a chance to do something we've never seen a team go a three-peat.
Yeah, this game was electric. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is on, this might be the greatest run I've ever seen by an athlete ever. To have this much success this early into a career, I mean, it's remarkable to watch. Josh Allen and the Bills, listen, D-Mac, as a Jets fan, I wish nothing but the worst for Bills Mafia. So that's me just being honest there. However, just watching the game, I mean, listen, when it comes to those critical moments in games, the Chiefs come through every time. They need a first down. They need a touchdown. They always find a way to come through. And I just thought the play of the game defensively, Spagnuolo sending a corner blitz at this junction in the game on that fourth down. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, man. They really do a solid job from the top down in Kansas City in these high-stakes games. I mean, the AFC runs through Patrick Mahomes. It is his conference.
Absolutely. I think the thing, we'll talk about that too, because I really want to touch on that, because I definitely think if we're going to do studs and duds in this one, I think that Joe Brady was a dud at the end of that one for the sequence of that last drive. But kind of getting back to Patrick Mahomes and the run that he's on, I mean, I think what really stands out is just he wills his team to win. And it's not, oh, hey, Travis Kelce's doing it. I mean, Kelce was fantastic their last game, but this one, 245 yards. He had 8 different pass catchers in this one. I mean, Xavier Worthy was out there doing the Jordan Last Dance meme. You know, I took this one personal because we know what happened. I think that part of the reason why the Bills lost this one was because of the Bills GM Brandon Beane, who allowed the Chiefs to trade up and get Xavier Worthy when the Bills were on the board at pick 28. The Bills could have had Worthy without any sort of trade. Instead, they traded down to get 33. They took Keon Coleman, who had exactly, J-Rob, 1 catch for 12 yards. Xavier Worthy had 85 yards for a touchdown as well. So I know you love those redemption stories, but to your point about Joe Brady and just the corner blitz there and Spagnuolo. Spagnuolo is in the conversation of one of the best defensive minds we have ever seen. And you look at that sequence there at the end, J-Rob, they got the football with a chance to tie or chance to take the lead and win and pull off a miraculous road victory to send them to the Super Bowl for the first time in a very, very long time, since 1993. And what do we get in that down? You get a Josh Allen passing complete to Shakir. Second down, incomplete, short over the middle to Curtis Samuel. But the 3rd and 10, a throw behind the sticks to Amari Cooper, and you get 5 yards from that. If the executive block a little better, maybe goes a little longer. If Shakir gets that, maybe it's a little different story. And the 4th and 5, I mean, Josh Allen finds a way to get a throw up, and I want to get your opinion on the Kincaid moment in a second here, but just that sequence alone, look, that's what's going to keep me up all offseason if I'm a Bills fan.
I mean, the Kincaid sequence, I mean, the catch He didn't make the catch. Those are hard plays to make, D-Mac. I mean, but like you said
J-Rob,
before,
in your opinion, right? You've been out there, you play ball with the best one. That's not a drop, right? That's one of those plays. Like if you make it, it's the play of the year. It goes down in history as one of the great Bills moments because it probably either ties that one or it just felt like this was that drive that was going to put the Bills over the hump. And yes, like I will say, I mean, how about this, J-Rob? Maybe we don't throw to our tight ends with the season on the line. That's what we've learned in the last couple of weeks. First Mark Andrews and now Kincaid, but it's tough to call that a drop.
Yeah, I mean, those are hard plays to make. And look, if he makes that catch, he's a hero. If he doesn't, I wouldn't put that on him. And I think it's a lot of low-hanging fruit that I've seen on social media with the Mark Andrews comparisons. It is not the same type of play at all. The Mark Andrews play, it's right in his belly. He's falling into the end zone. You're asking Kincaid to make a miraculous play to keep the hopes and dreams of Bills Mafia alive. I think it was a lot for him. But ultimately, I didn't like the play calling at the end. I thought you hit that on the nose. I would have loved to see James Cook get the ball more. Only 13 carries. What is up with these AFC rivals? This is my thing, D-Mac. These coaches are trying to take the quarterbacks and have them just beat Patrick Mahomes. It is a complete effort to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. 13 carries for James Cook, the NFL's leader in rushing touchdowns. I would have loved to see him get the ball more. I thought they didn't utilize him enough in those late game drives, and I just thought it was a bit ridiculous. I mean, I felt like Joe Brady dropped the ball there. A lot what we've seen with like Lamar Jackson and the Ravens when they don't utilize Derrick Henry on that last drive, despite them scoring. I thought they could have killed a lot more clock by utilizing running backs. I don't know why they go away from that.
I could not agree with you more. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. James was cooking, right? I mean, you saw the third quarter. That really was the weakness in that Chiefs defense in that third quarter that allowed the Bills to come out of the half, take momentum, take a lead. James Cook, 2 touchdowns, 85 yards, averaged over 6 yards per carry. I mean, it was a perfect spot to lean on him. You saw the little flip play towards the end. You get a little toss there. I mean, he was ready to really just put a balance. And we're going to talk about that Commanders-Eagles game. That was the most balanced offense we've seen from the Eagles. I think you could have used a little more balance if you are the Bills in this one and just not put the game squarely on Josh Allen's shoulders. I mean, there's people out there saying, oh, Josh Allen this, Josh Allen that. Me personally, I do kind of feel at this point, J-Rob, that Josh Allen kind of is a character in Patrick Mahomes' Last Dance documentary at this point. I hate to say that, but it's starting to feel that way. But we got to talk about the 4th and inches play because we did that segment last week. We were talking about the Chiefs getting the calls and the referee uniform being the Chiefs alternate, all that stuff. And look, they're not being the allegations, as the kids say, right? I mean, with someone like that, did you feel like it was short? Because it looked like they did not get the benefit of the doubt on that spot right there.
I'm going to be honest, that play was just too close to call. I'll be honest with you, D-Mac. That's how I truly feel about my honest, like unbiased opinion about it is it just seemed too close to call. When I first watched it on just the first live look before the replay, I'm going to be honest, D-Mac, I thought he was short. He looked short because I just felt like he was vertical at the line. So the ball wasn't going forward because the way he was more vertical horizontal, instead of vertical with the football. And I just think, too, the angle just was hard. I feel like sometimes with replay, it's all about that angle. And on those QB sneaks, those powers, the ball is so tucked in with all those guys. It is hard to make that call live. And I think it's hard to make that call from replay. I mean, I'm not going to go into my conspiracy with the Chiefs for this one. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt with that spot there.
That's fair. And look, I mean, when you're debating that, just depending on like the narrative you want to go with, you can find that angle that works to fit your narrative, right? And there's certain replays you're like, oh, dude, he looks like he's passive by a foot. And then there's certain ones you're like, okay, maybe they got it right. And I think it really comes down to Joe Brady too. I mean, does he think that Steve Spagnuolo is not going to realize that you're just basically going left every single time on those QB sneaks in that situation? And at some point, you got to get creative. I mean, if I was the Bill, like, why are the Bills heading into this one as they're the tight team, right? I mean, yes, they're 0 for 4 against Mahomes in the playoffs, and sure, you want to end that Super Bowl drought, but the Chiefs are the team that has to make history this year, right? You can't bring those championships with you. You can only 3-peat once. Only one chance at that. If I'm them, I mean, I'm just saying, you know what? We're on the road. just fake one of these days, right? I mean, look, Josh Allen, yes, that play has been successful 90% of the year, and there's no doubt about it. But in this one, I think if the Bills were a little more loose, and look, you get the coaching advantage of McDermott versus Andy Reid. Andy Reid wins, right? You got Spagnuolo versus Joe Brady. Spagnuolo wins. If you know that going into this one, I'm just saying, you know what, man, let's burn the boats. Let's do something crazy, because the second that was a failed attempt right there, you looked at their odds of winning. Their odds of winning before that play were 64%. The Bills had a better chance. After that, their chance of losing went to 76%. So it was an absolutely crucial play in the game. It was 13:05 left. The Chiefs were up 20, or the Bills were up 22-21, and it just felt like after that, it was like, you gave the boogeyman too much. And it was like, all right, well, how is just not, is he going to get it done? It's how is he going to get it done?
Yeah, the thing about the game of football is momentum is a landslide. It feels like an avalanche, and it comes in waves. In a play like that, for a defense to stop a QB sneak on 4th and inches, that is you know how Chief Kingdom is. It's the loudest place in football. You're bringing all of that momentum. It feels heavy. And I'll give you a prime example from my playing career. When I was at UConn, we upset Houston. They were the number 6 team in the country at home in Connecticut. Very much, we were the boogeyman that day. Had no business beating them. But the year after, we played them at home. This was their revenge game because we kind of ruined their season. When this game, you can feel the energy. You can feel the crowd. Like, it was a sold-out 40,000. And so I know in that moment, it was probably heavy for the Bills, and it felt heavier. And they tightened up, like you said. You know what would have been crazy, Doug, that would have helped out even on that QB sneak? The Chiefs had been jumping the snap all game. At that point, they know what is coming. Why not just go? Why not go for 2? I mean, hike 2. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can change the snap count. You know, like something small like that, you get 5 yards, it's a penalty. There you go. You know, so I just feel like as a whole, they dropped the ball altogether, the coaching staff included. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a rough night for Bills Mafia for sure. I think another thing too, when Benford left the game with the concussion, I mean, they were absolutely going after Elam. I mean, he goes into the game, and the Chiefs, you get 11-yard pass, a 12-yard pass in the first full drive of the game. Same drive would allow that 3rd down conversion. He was called for the face mask. So it feels like for the Bills to somehow, some way break through against the Chiefs, it's almost like it has to be at home. The guy has to make the catch. I mean, so look, we wanted a Bills Commanders Super Bowl, right? But we're getting the one we all kind of knew we were going to get. We were just trying to will it. I was right about the next game we're talking about. You were right about this one. You had the Chiefs winning this one. I had the Bills. The Bills are my Super Bowl pick. So Old Takes Exposed is about to expose me, even though I didn't tweet or say it anywhere. But now let's talk about the one that was a lot less close, a little bit of a blowout. Score, I don't think truly indicates just how close this game was in the first half. But I mean, you look at the total there, and it got really ugly really late. 4 turnovers. The Eagles scored on all those turnovers, but there's an absolute blowout in Philly. Eagles win 55-23. My biggest takeaway from this game is all week it was about Jalen Hurts. I said it myself. You want to make the Eagles have to beat you with his arm and not his legs or Saquon Barkley's legs. Have him put the ball in the air, and then Jaden Daniels on the other side is going to have the accuracy, the throwing advantage. I couldn't have been more wrong, because I think this was an absolute statement game for Jalen Hurts. He goes 20 for 28, just 8 incomplete passes, has the 1 touchdown. Also gets the 10 carries for 16 yards, was kind of controlling it a lot for himself. So I think that the big statement in this is any doubters that Jalen Hurts had, any people that say you can't win with Jalen Hurts, they're doing the Homer Simpson into the hedge thing right now, and they're pretty much disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, it is time for the football world to put respect on Jalen Hurts' name. All he's ever done, Doug, in his entire career is win football games. He's went to the college football playoffs at two different programs when he got benched. Does anybody remember who came into the SEC championship game and bailed them out late after he got benched for Tua? This is a guy who has always known how to win football games. And it is time for us to have real conversations about him being one of the 5 best in the game. because this has been a consistent trajectory. We talk about, can he beat you with his arm? I mean, he showed you that today. He was very much a part of the catalyst. And I think it is low-hanging fruit for football fans and media correspondents to always use, well, he has this and he has that and he has these receivers. Because a lot of the top quarterbacks in the league, they have something special. Josh Allen has a great O-line and a great running back. Lamar Jackson has Zay Flowers and Derrick Henry and Mark Andrews. Everybody has a mix of something. So we got to start allowing Jalen Hurts to just be the guy that the franchise quarterback he is, and recognize him for that, because this is his second Super Bowl in 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, and really, I mean, honestly, hopefully our guy will check with Donovan Abbott at some point, but you could make the case that, I mean, Jalen Hurts is right up there for best Eagles quarterbacks of all time if he wins that Super Bowl. Of course, Foles, he got the other one done, Philly special, a couple years ago back in 2018. But I think that really Jalen Hurts, kind of the Jalen Hurts, the discourse, the debates. I mean, this entire season embraced and almost accepted, hey, I don't have to be Batman. I can kind of be Robin, and Saquon can be Batman. But there's going to become a time when, for us to truly get over the hump, for us to actually win the Lombardi Trophy, Saquon can go off and he can win the Super Bowl MVP if he wants, but we know how important that quarterback position is. And I think that the balance, him hitting A.J. Brown the way he was, and A.J. Brown looking like that number one all-world receiver once again, Devontae Smith making big plays. I thought one of the biggest plays that he made was late in the second half to evade the rush, put the ball in the air, and draw that pass interference on Lattimore that ends up getting them another touchdown. But 7 tutties on the ground, bro. Like, this to me, J-Rob, felt like we're watching like Bama versus like Citadel score. You know what I'm saying? Like circa like 2017. I'm like, I don't like seeing these scores at the NFL level. I mean, 7 touchdowns. That was tied for the most all time in a postseason game, that tied the Bears' 7 touchdowns against Washington in 1940. By the way, the Bears won that game 73-0. But Eagles finished with 229 yards on 36 carries, 6.4 yards rushing per attempt. And I think that this one, kind of the big takeaway in this one is, like we talked about this week, is the Eagles' talent is superior to the Commanders. And for the Commanders to have a chance, you can't turn the football over. The 4 turnovers, and you had the costly one on special teams that led to a turnover. You had the Austin Eckler turnover. You just couldn't overcome that.
Yeah, I mean, the Commanders 100% got caught up in the moment in that game. The pressure was on, and they felt it. And the thing is, D-Mac, when you see miscues like that, like the De'Ami Brown fumble one too, so that happened as well. Like, this is those type of things that you don't usually do throughout the season. When you come into a big game and start to do uncharacteristic things like that, that shows that really the pressure of this game is starting to get to you and the team. And you know what a lot of that stuff is, D-Mac? It is concentration stuff. You're pressing so hard. It's mental, like you're trying to – you don't think they in their mind are like, we got a rookie, we're about to go to the Super Bowl, like it's really possible. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, and it feels like the Commanders put a lot of pressure on themselves. And the thing is, they really did have a shot to make this thing a game. They really shot themselves in the foot a lot, because I think you hit it on the nose earlier. I mean, the score doesn't really give you a full indication of what that game could have been, because that game very much well could have been tied going into halftime, and we would have been going into that third and fourth quarter wondering who's going to come out with this thing. But a team like the Eagles, they're going to make you pay. They're going to make you pay. There's blood in the water when you're giving up 4 turnovers in the game. They're going to come at you. They're going to, you get the ball on one side of the field, especially they're giving that ball to Saquon on your opposing 40, and they're going to make you pay every single time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the second quarter, it looked like it was good. They were in a boat race, right? First quarter, Eagles go up 14-3. Then in the second quarter, late towards the middle, I mean, Sirianni sent Elliott out there for that 54-yard field goal attempt, which would have been his longest of the season. He misses that one. And then Jayden Daniels is still kind of hot in this one, and you eventually are able to get that long touchdown by Scary Terry. He takes one to the house, and look, you're right towards the halftime mark right there. So, yeah, I think that for this one, it's kind of one of those things. If you're the Eagles, you're like, wait a second, like, why the hell was it that close? I mean, they still do look like somewhat of a flawed team. I think if you look at the Eagles and the Chiefs heading into this one, I mean, it's a really fascinating Super Bowl when it comes to matchups. But I think just kind of what it boils down to for me and the Commanders is like, you won the season. Like the W on your helmet is fitting because this is a W of a year. You're far away from, Dan Snyder can't hurt you anymore. Somewhere he's crying and he's in, the fetal position in the middle of his kitchen, crying, watching Jaden Daniels have the success he's having. And you have a lot of decisions to make as far as your roster goes. And I think they just can't run the football too. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah. Yes.
But you got a star. You have a star quarterback. And it's just a bright future for them. But I know that's an ugly rivalry, and it's not. The Commanders don't have a lot to say to Eagles fans, especially if they're going to win the Super Bowl.
No, they're not. And the thing is, the Commanders will have a chance eventually to put themselves again in this place. I think the Commanders have a great trajectory. I mean, if I'm the Commanders, maybe I'm trading up to bring in Ashton Genty or Quinshawn Judkins to bolster that run game. I do think they need another offensive lineman too. I think they could benefit from one more guy on that offensive line. But in terms of the Super Bowl, I'm excited for this matchup because I do wonder if Jalen Hurts gives you the same performance in the Super Bowl that he gave you the other time without the fumble. Can the Eagles play spoiler to this Kansas City three-peat?
100. If the Eagles play today like they did against the Chiefs, they're going to win the Super Bowl. I'm dead serious on that. I mean, I think when you look at the top end talent, I mean, A.J. Brown is absolutely chewing up man coverage the way he did. When you look at the defense causing 4 turnovers, causing 21 points off those 3 fumble recoveries, he had 3 sacks for minus 27, 13 pressures, and really was just a 4-man rush for them. I believe in the talent of this Eagles team, and it's kind of weird just because they feel like they've been in a funk for this entire season, but somehow, some way, they had the wins. They were hosting an NFC championship game. I think that, look, I mean, you're from the East Coast. You know that the media is a little different on that side of the country. You know that the pressure of being on the Eagles is a little different. The Chiefs is kind of a different story. I kind of like the momentum that the Eagles have, knowing that we're the spoiler now. It's not like, oh, if we lose to the Commanders, we're the team that disappointed and we're the team that fumbled the bag when we had all this talent. Now it's, oh, hey, Chiefs, you don't mess up history, right? Don't mess up history. I mean, you have a chance to do something special. So I really do like where the Eagles are heading into this one. I think, too, it's the way they won this game. Let's say they just squeaked by kind of like they did, and they didn't play their best football kind of like they did against the Packers, and they win. It's like, oh, there's still those questions, this and that. I think they're in a really, really good place as a team right now heading into this matchup. They're in a great spot to potentially pull off the upset. I don't want to throw my pick away, and I kind of think I'm going to be with America on this one and try to go with the Eagles. But I do think it's going to be look, let's be honest. For the teams remaining, talent-wise, I mean, it would have been great to see Josh Allen, the Bills, get to the Super Bowl, but I think the most ridiculous thing is people saying, I'm not going to watch. Oh, there's going to be a low-rated Super Bowl. Really? You're not going to watch Saquon Barkley. You're not going to watch Patrick Mahomes over 3. You're not going to watch Kendrick Lamar. Like, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, this is gonna be a great Super Bowl. First of all, it's a rematch. Everybody loves a rematch, and everybody knows that the game that they had the first time, the Eagles very much had a chance to win that football game. This is going to be a great, because it's either a three-peat in its history or it's a phenomenal redemption story for the Eagles. Both for me, you and me are sports junkies. I live for this type of stuff. These are the type of stories you want. There's something on the line for both teams and both fan bases. And you know what I'm also realizing too, D-Mac? When you're a successful team like the Eagles and the Chiefs, we nitpick them very much. They got nitpicked a lot this year about the Chiefs not being, this was a down year for the Chiefs. They look sloppy all year. The Eagles, we care about the stories inside the locker room, the books, the records. But who's in the Super Bowl at the end of it all? The two teams who we nitpick for winning football games,
No, for sure. And that's definitely going to be kind of the narrative heading into this one. And that's why, like we talked about, it is really a matter of, look, both these teams on their best day can certainly win this game. And I think it is, I do think the biggest takeaway from kind of the losers in this one, the Bills, is, and for the Commanders as well, is just kind of like, okay, Commanders is oh my goodness, sky's the limit for the future. The Bills it's almost like, okay, we know how talented Josh Allen is, but I do think there's going to be some doubt creeping into their head as far as the coaching staff in their building, because I think really the Bills are a team where it's like, okay, is it we just lost to a great team with a great player with great coaching at the peak of their powers, or it's, man, we've really squandered some opportunities because all these games for the most part have been close losses. So as far as the Chiefs and Eagles go, look, the Eagles would be the ultimate. Hey, just shut the F up. We're great here. Saquon Barkley made a great decision. The Giants absolutely. That's another thing we have to talk about too. Is the Giants absolutely letting someone like Saquon Barkley? There should be a statue of Saquon Barkley in the Giants uniform. Instead, he goes down as a Reggie White. He goes down as one of these players that just signed with another team that you're almost like, how the hell did the previous team let him get away? So I'm really happy for Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, it's in the Giants organization. It is one of the most embarrassing things, and to me, from a general manager standpoint, I mean, one of the biggest fumbles in NFL history. You don't let a legitimate generational talent at the position walk out the door and then assume that you can get something. Where do you get that production from? That doesn't. And this is my whole issue with this. This idea that we devalue the running back position. Shout out to James Cook, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley this year, and Josh Jacobs, because they have reignited the position in the world. We try to devalue how important running back is, because Saquon Barkley very much has a case for being the MVP of the entire NFL this year for the type of player he's been.
For sure. And you look at his numbers against the Commanders this year. He's rushed for 414 yards and 7 touchdowns versus the Commanders. That includes the playoffs. Another nice outing, 15 carries for 118 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, look, at the end of the day, I think we did really get another heavyweight title fight. I think the Bills are going to be kicking themselves because, I mean, look, Josh Allen almost threw 2 interceptions to start this game. He didn't come out the gate strong, and I do think that the Chiefs made the plays when they needed to, give them all the credit in the world. But I think that if the Bills are looking in the mirror and having an honest conversation with themselves, they'll tell you, hey, better play calling, better execution, just not playing tight and afraid, kind of like I think they were throughout. I think they would have gone to the Super Bowl. So I truly believe that you can't take a moral loss for the Bills. But yeah, I mean, we're ready for a big Super Bowl, and hey, give them a lot of credit. Some good football today. I do. The blowout was a little weird. We know that the night game was going to be the best game, but all in all, man, we only got one more game, man. Only one more game left for the rest of the year, man. It kind of hurt.
Brings a tear to my eye. I love football season, but hey, we got a good draft this year. You know, it'll be a star-studded draft, so you know that'll get us excited. Maybe we'll get into some UFL or something like that. Maybe catch an XFL game or something. To, feed our fix.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. But that's going to do it for this episode of The Big Lead. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. You can follow my man J-Rob over on X and Instagram too. I'll drop his socials down below in the comment section. And until next time, see you later, sports fans, and we're out.